So do you guys actually understand what we're doing here?
No. I know you like the show Peacemaker, and I like the
Yes.
show Peacemaker. And when I
Right.
saw the show Peacemaker, I was like, I got to tell Ray about Peacemaker. One, he's going to love this character, who's, again, a character that's similar to Ray in many regards. And two, and one of the reasons he's similar to Ray is the music. This guy loves, glam metal, hair metal, and I think it's in the very first episode he's talking about, right? He's in that apartment with the woman.
Yes.
Going through the
Speaking
record
of the
collection.
very first episode, I just watched the very first episode.
Oh, good.
And Scott said, "You do understand this show was made for Ray."
Oh,
I
Absolutely.
quote, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So I figured because the show's going to be 8 episodes, Peacemaker, that is. So I figured we'd do the first 4 on this episode
okay.
Okay.
because even the people who had early access to this thing could only get the first 7.
Oh.
So no one has seen episode 8.
Oh.
So there's no one who can do a complete review of this thing yet.
And there's only been 4 out for everybody else so far, too, right?
5 drops
For the regular.
No, five's out. Yeah,
Oh, is it?
five is already viewable. But I figured because it's 4 and 4, that's a good breaking point. Because then we can do 5, 6, 7, 8, and like I said, even the people who got early access don't have 8.
Okay.
So we're right on par with what everybody else is doing, except for nobody has talked really about the music.
Oh.
Everybody is talking about how awesome John Cena is, how good the show is, and those things are fantastic. But everybody loves the opening dance number,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. No, so I have a question. Like,
Yeah.
so I know the song it's not an 80s song. It sounds like it could be, right? It's
It
some
does
sort of
sound like it
knockoff
could be.
glam band. From
Yes,
like
that is Wigwam. They are from Norway. They came out in 2001. Now, here's the weird thing about that name, Wigwam. It's 2 words. Okay, so I was trying to figure out why the hell they're
already have an
saying
idea,
it that
right?
way.
What?
Oh,
What'd
why
you-
they're saying it wigwam instead of wigwam?
Instead of
yes.
one word like wigwam.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
There's a band from Fenway. Fenway?
Fenway, the park. It was at
No.
the Green Machine and the Green Monster.
Finland?
Finland. That's what I'm thinking of. Damn.
Not Fenway.
From the 60s called Wigwam.
So
So
think
they must
had
not
to-
have known and originally named their band that and then said, you know what? We can't be the same band, so we'll just mispronounce it and put a split in the name. Boom. Wigwam is born.
Doesn't it sound a little bit like that Two Live Crew Luke Skywalker with the two
I think
Ys?
I think it's the exact same kind of thing.
Now, he
Okay.
lost, so he had to change his name or use his real name.
Well, once again, they're actually pronouncing it a different way, so. Because I
You
kept
just
looking at the name
pronounced
going,
it the same.
why does everybody keep saying this Wigwam?
Okay, so you were questioning Wham.
Immediately, I was like, that doesn't sound right. I know they're from another country, but like they have the Indian imagery in some of their videos and stuff. So I'm like, they obviously know what it is.
So,
Whatever.
but why? I guess, so again, it sounds like a very 80s kind of glam song. It's a contemporary song. I think it's from 2010, right? It's
Okay.
I think it was even a song at a Eurovision, that competition that where they folks compete. But why do they have it as a dance number? I don't.
Well, here's why.
Yeah.
Because James Gunn had this song in the back of his head for a long time.
Okay.
He didn't know what he was going to do with it. But when he decided to do the Peacemaker show, it was right when quarantine happened, I think, is when he started writing all this. Like, he called John Cena right after Suicide Squad and said, hey, I got an idea. Will you be in a show? And he didn't even tell him what it was. And Cena was like, yep, I'm in. Before he knew it was Peacemaker or anything. He was like, as soon as James Gunn called him, he's like, yep. So they decided, at some point he goes, hey, John, I want to do a dance thing. And John's like, I don't dance. And Gunn said, yeah,
kind of obvious.
you're going to be super uncomfortable. It's going to be really embarrassing for you, and people are going to laugh. But I promise you it's going to be awesome. And John Cena said, I trust him completely. And this thing turned out awesome.
Yep.
And,
cool.
like, I've never watched the intro to a show all by itself without the show. And I've done that many times with this dance opening
So
thing.
you keep watching this over and over.
I keep watching it over and over and over. Like yesterday, I just checked. This thing's got like 4 million views on YouTube, all on its own. Just the dance number.
And you're half of that, right? Yeah.
Probably.
It's super entertaining. I especially love the, well, two things. I love how they bring all the characters in.
Yeah.
You don't even know who these characters are yet, some of them. Like the, what was the guy, Kung Fu Master or something?
Judo Master.
Judo Master. Like, you don't know who that guy is until like episode 3 or something, but he's in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then, of course, my other favorite thing is Eagly, sort of like really just hogging the spotlight at the very end.
And
Love Eagly.
aren't the CGIs for Eagly so good for the show?
It's really good. Yep.
I was, like we just watched this, and I'm like, is that real?
Like,
When
there's
that's
parts
real.
where there are parts where you're like, is that a trained eagle?
Right?
Like when he's standing on the ground?
Yeah, in the trailer, I thought it was, wow, they trained an eagle?
Well, there's a couple of times where I'm like, I can't tell if that's a real eagle or not.
That's amazing.
Like, I mean, obviously when the eagle's hugging him, that's not a real bird.
That's when I knew. Yeah,
He's
that, I
hugging
said,
me.
oh.
Come take a picture. You got to see this.
Yeah.
That dad. Can we talk about that dad? Oh my gosh. Or maybe
What?
not. Maybe
You
not.
can talk about him.
He's such a jerk.
Do you know who that is?
I was going to look it up and I forgot, but he looked really familiar.
Robert Patrick.
Does that help you, Kat?
No.
God damn it.
What else was he in?
1992, 91 is when he sort of
You're killing me.
broke. Oh, okay, sorry.
You're killing me, Cat. You're
gotta
killing me.
I thought
That's my
I was
job.
killing you. How are you going to?
No, you're fine. You actually know who he is.
Yeah, and actually, he made his film debut. I'm pretty sure. At least I remember first seeing him. He has a non-speaking part in Die Hard 2. He's one of the terrorists that's working, taking over the airport and gets killed by John McClane at some point.
So I hope I'm not supposed to remember him from that, am I?
No, not that.
There's something else.
God,
because he
no.
was familiar.
Yeah.
And I didn't look it up yet. I just watched it. I didn't have time.
Yeah. Way to do your research. Nice job, Cat. But no, I think he's amazing in this.
You're not going to tell her?
No, she can find out on her own.
What about the people watching this?
All right, fine. He's from the Terminator series.
He's the T-1000.
Specifically, I think it's part
Terminator
2.
2.
Yeah.
Yep. He's
Oh my
liquid
gosh.
metal.
Oh my God.
No
That's him.
moving parts.
Yeah, but
He's also
He's
in the
re-
X-Files, at some point in the,
he's in that too.
later in the show.
But once again, he's so good at playing this role.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's why he's such a jerk. He's really good at being a jerk, clearly.
Well, once again, this part was written. He's just playing the role.
I know.
And that's another thing I want to point out. John Cena's amazing. He's amazing. But so is everyone else on this show.
Yep.
And most of them really haven't done a lot.
Yep. I don't
Which-
recognize any of them.
Yeah. So I was starting to look them up. Like, they had to have been in something else I've seen.
Yeah.
And it was just a big nope across the board for most of them.
Yeah.
Wow. I
I
like
don't
the
know if-
janitor. Oops, sorry, Will.
The janitor?
The guy mopping when he's first getting out of the hospital.
Yeah, the one he smokes
Oh, yeah,
weed
yeah.
with in the hospital.
Yes, we've seen him in many
He was
things,
great.
right?
But go ahead, Will.
I was going to say, I don't know if you're going to get into this or not, Ray, but I did come across a quote from James Gunn talking about the music as to why does Peacemaker like glam metal and hair metal. And James Gunn says that he loves hair metal because it speaks to everything his dad isn't. So tying that back to that character, he says,
Okay.
regarding hair metal, it's androgynous. I think about Peacemaker bringing home a Hanoi Rocks album with the guys in the makeup and the fishnet stockings and everything else, or a Motley Crue album with the satanic symbol on the front. Those are a direct affront to who his father is.
What did he say
Yeah.
when he was flipping through her albums? And he
Yeah.
said something about, this stuff is great because it's from a time when men weren't afraid to be like women. Or something.
No, I think he said men weren't afraid to be men, wasn't it? Wasn't it?
No.
And then-
Well, no, he says...
that's the joke. They look.
he
like
says
women in the thing.
no. He says when dudes weren't afraid to be real men and dress like women or something like that.
Yeah.
There's a
He
He
real
adds in
men
at the
thing.
very end and look like women or whatever.
Yes.
That was the
There
exact.
was-
I don't know the exact quote, but
Yes.
it's really funny. So basically, the way I I shoved this into our 80s podcast was, I really was looking for the crowbar. We haven't used that term in a long time.
Got retired.
It got retired.
Uh-oh.
Peacemaker is actually a character from the 60s.
Okay.
And he was very short-lived. And then the company that made that comic went belly up and had to sell. So in the 80s, that's when DC Comics bought it.
Okay.
So they did some stuff in the 80s with them. And the weird thing is somehow James Gunn's brain took this story and just transformed it into what we're seeing, because it's not like the comic books. It's completely different. Like, most of these characters don't exist in the comics. His backstory's a lot different. Like, the character's father in the books, because it's the 80s, is a Nazi sympathizer. So they couldn't really do that set in today's time frame because it doesn't work. They could have, but it was really...
We have tons of Nazis. Didn't you watch
No,
news?
No, I mean like German Nazi. Like concentration camp. You can't really... Like white supremacist is different. Yes. I'm talking about you can't be a Nazi concentration camp guard and in 2020 say, this is my dad. Yep. The time frame doesn't work.
I see. Yeah.
So they had to come up with something new. And they did, which is really cool. I like the way they figured it out. And he's the White Dragon, which in the comics was never Chris's dad. So he's taken all these elements from the comics and he's just twisting them into this really cool new thing. Like Vigilante, it's just a sociopath, psychopath in this.
Oh, is he the guy who was leaving him messages on his cell phone?
That's his best friend.
Okay, all right.
So,
you only saw the first episode.
Yeah, I only saw the first one.
But in the comic
But I'm
books...
cool. You can talk about everything.
Yeah, but in the comic books, he's not like that. He's not a complete psychopath in the comic books.
He's not a goofball like that.
Yeah. But
you haven't seen it.
It's so well done that it's just crazy.
Yep.
Huh. Awesome. I look forward to more. We were going to try and squeeze in a crowbar in another one, but
Yeah, you got to crowbar these things in because. So, anyways, the other way I'm going to crowbar the 80s into this is in the first episode when he meets the butterfly at the bar.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Which is right after Summertime Girls plays from YNT from the 80s. And Hardcore beats up that dude, and then he's like, well, I forget exactly what he says. He's like, that's so hot or whatever when she comes back. But then you see that other girl that he ends up spending the night with. And that's when he gets into the album collection, you know, before they get into the big fight and he explodes her with his helmet.
Sonic boom.
Yes. So, yes, the Sonic Boom helmet. So, in episode 2, I don't want to give away a lot. He ends up back at the apartment because he has to get his clothes. But while he's there, he decides, instead of getting his shit and getting out of there, he gets all these albums to take with him.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay.
So I took a little time to figure out what a bunch of these albums are that he actually takes with him. This took me hours and fucking hours to do. But I got a big chunk of these things right.
Pausing and then seeing what's that album cover look like.
Yeah, and this took a lot to do, but I got a lot of them. So and some of these were, and I'll tell you right now, some of these were not easy to figure out. They were tough.
You mentioned YNT is from the 80s. Are any of these other groups?
These are almost every single 70s? One of these is an 80s album that I figured out, except or early 90s, but they're all hair metal bands from the 80s, except for one, which I found really strange, but not really. And when I get to it, I'll tell you why.
Okay.
The first one, and these are in no particular, I wrote them down, but they're out of order. They're from episode 1 and episode 2. Because when he goes to the apartment and they dump all over the floor, you can see a bunch of them. So,
did that happen in the fight, I guess?
well, there's a follow-up to the apartment scene. So
the next episode picks up exactly where the first one ended.
Oh, good. Okay.
So I'm going to start off with Def Leppard Pyromania, which we all had.
I think that was the only one I recognized.
Yeah.
Wait, wasn't there a Rat album in there, or was that when he was flipping?
No, there's no Rat
Cinderella.
album.
Cinderella.
We got Hanoi Rocks,
Yeah, I saw that one. Okay.
Oriental Beat from '82. That's one of them that's on the floor when he dumps them out.
Okay.
But the fucked up part is it's the back of the cover.
Oh,
It's not the front of the
found it
album.
anyway?
I
Makes
still
it
found
harder.
it. I found it, and it was tough, but I found it.
How did you do this?
I paused it, and I looked at them until I recognized them.
Okay, so
And then,
stared at it.
I know that's what I
and then I confirmed it by
Telling yourself.
Googling it. And
Recognize.
some of these, it was like, and I'm looking at it because that album, the cover is a woman, bare-chested woman, and it says Hanoi Rocks on her. It's painted, but it's spelled ROXX.
Okay.
And this was supposed to be the album cover originally, but the record company said, you can't misspell your own name on your own album. So they compromised and made it the back of the cover. So on the front, it has a real cover with their name and all that, but
I wonder why they want to do that. Yeah, that's bad marketing.
because it was like the guitar player's girlfriend that he painted on, and
I see. So they take a picture.
and you know this is how it works with
They were being
girlfriends, you know.
clever. Yeah. Okay.
So then another album is Faster Pussycat, Wake Me When It's Over, which is late '80s. You get the front cover and the back cover images, which once again, if you don't know the album, you ain't gonna figure that out. Obviously, Cinderella Night Songs. We get a good shot of the front of that
Cinderella.
one.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Obviously, Firehouse, because he plays that album.
Oh, that's the one. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what he's singing? Singing along to?
No, that's that's a different album.
Choir Boys, right?
Choir Boys in this one, but in the second episode, he's listening to Firehouse.
Oh, okay. All right.
We also have a Whitesnake album. If you're watching the second episode, when he's talking to the girl Amber, and they're talking about Cinderella, there's an album peeking out right behind it. This is a Whitesnake album.
Okay.
But here's the fucked up part about it.
You got it by the corner.
I did, but not just the corner.
Yeah.
It's the original 1984 import of Slide It In. It's not even the American version. I was like, this one fucked me up. I had a tough time finding that one.
So you didn't recognize this one. You had a like what?
I recognized the logo,
Okay.
but I was like, it's in the wrong goddamn place. It's not supposed to be there.
So you start googling White.
So then I had to Google Whitesnake and go through all this trouble just to find out what it was.
Nice.
Then we got Theater of Pain, which is Motley Crue.
Yep.
We have obviously Pretty Boy Floyd, which is the very first album in the pile, which catches his attention in the first episode, which is Leather Boys with Electric Toys. That's a fantastic album, by the way. And you have Hanoi Rocks, Two Steps from the Move, while he's flipping through. You have the Choir Boys, A Bit of What You Fancy, which is the album that he decides to play.
Right.
That's a 90s band, by the way,
Oh, is that right?
which I thought was a weird choice for this, but, you know, it's fine. Another one from the pile is Kix, Blow My Fuse. We have Poison, Open Up and Say Ah, which is a back cover, which once again was not easy to figure out.
This new skill he's learned he has.
Dude, it's crazy.
This is gonna be album cover trivia. We gotta do this as right.
Oh my God,
Just
I'd
give
be
him
so good at it.
like
and then
special
there's
thanks block paragraph from an album and see if he can recognize it.
when he walks over to put the albums that he wants, I recognize 3 CDs that also went in the pile.
Oh right,
Oh.
yep. He took CDs too.
The Cult, Electric. Van Halen, Best of Volume 1. Poison, Flesh and Blood.
Oh my gosh.
Now, here's the weird one.
Yep.
All these other bands, except for like the Choir Boys, are 80s bands. And the Choir Boys are like 90, 91-ish, I think. So they're so close that it's really like, they're almost like an 80s band. Then we get Dust Bowl Jokies.
What is
I don't know,
that?
I've never heard of
They're
that.
from the soundtrack to this. They're a newer band that are on the soundtrack.
Dust
Oh,
Bowl.
Dust Bowl
from,
Jokies. Okay, I see. Here.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
He snuck that one in. And that was another one that, by the way, was really, really hard to figure out because I kept looking at 80s bands.
Yeah.
That one took a while. I kept looking at it, and I'm like, because at the bottom of the album cover, you can see, and they covered it just enough that you can see the word DeVille. And obviously the guitar player for Poison's name is CeCe DeVille.
Obviously.
So they covered just enough of this name that you could only see the DeVille part. But the whole, I can't even pronounce this, where it's like Cock-Aggie Vaudeville. But they only had the DeVille part showing on the album. It's like, I know what you're doing. You don't want me to try and figure this out. I got you. So there's still a couple that I haven't figured out yet, but that's the majority of what he got in that haul.
Do you have pictures you can share? This is maybe a fun treasure hunt for our friends here.
Well, a big part of the problem was when I would take the picture, I was doing it on my laptop.
Yeah. So you're taking a picture
And the
of
picture
screen.
wasn't big enough.
Let me see.
So it was really more of a pause and search kind of thing. And the only other, now this one really was a pain in my dick. There's a scene in episode 4 where there's a flashback to him and his brother. And he's holding an album. And this thing, I looked and I looked and I looked. And I had to turn to my buddy James. And I said, dude, I cannot pick this out. I think I see this guy, but there's something else on the other side of this album. I don't know what the hell it is. And within like 4 minutes, he's back to me. In the flashback scene, that is the back of Theater of Pain.
Oh.
Even though Faster Pussycat's playing during that scene and he's wearing a Faster Pussycat shirt, the album he's holding is Theater of Pain.
Wow.
And
So you called your
that-
lifeline. Sorry, go ahead.
That
Yeah,
Faster Pussycat song is House of Pain.
Yes.
What
But
a
the
weird
T-shirt he's
coincidence.
wearing is from the 90s. So go figure.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think that's the age. That's the age. That's John
once
Cena's
again-
age. He's a '90s guy, I'm sure.
John Cena's almost as old as us, man. He's like 44.
Yeah, but that would put him more in as a '90s kid, I think.
Well, once again, it does. But I'm just saying, for the character, obviously, it's fine. It's a Faster Pussycat T-shirt. And most people aren't going to go in depth and look at it and go, oh, yeah, that's, early 90s Faster Pussycat. I gotcha.
I love this
I'm fine with
niche
that.
approach. Oh my gosh.
Well, once again, hair metal is probably my favorite music. So for me, that's a big part of why I love this show. And and John Cena, the lines they gave him, like I think the only reason some of these characters are on the show is so that they could get away with the stuff they're having, go around. Which there's the character of how do you pronounce it? Adebayo.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen it written down. I wouldn't know. Part of it
Adebayo.
was he didn't know how to say it, and I thought, well,
Yeah,
I
and
don't
I thought that was
remember.
hilarious. But
The woman.
I saw James Gunn talking about
Yeah,
this.
Waller's daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he said really the show is the dynamic of those two characters.
Oh.
And I thought, you know
Right,
what?
too, yeah.
That's
There's
really
something
cool.
there. Yeah, there was something there between them.
Because
Yeah.
he created her for the show. So he had all this going on in his head, which I think is just really cool. And like I said, that's like what he thinks the whole show is about is those two characters. And
Cool.
how their friendship's going to develop or whatever, and how so different they are. Which, like I said, I've watched quite a few interviews with him about this show and stuff, and it's just crazy how fast he put it together. And once again, he's proving why Gen X should be in charge of Hollywood. Like between him and Jon Favreau, like I think it's time. I think everyone else should just step away and let Gen X move in and just write everything.
I think it's a matter of natural selection, or it's just going to happen. In the next.
I think it's happening. Yeah.
Yeah, it's, for the most part, probably is.
Well, it's just weird though because it took a long time for Gen X to get some kind of foot in the door.
I think it's people are having longer lives, so you've got the Hollywood
that's true.
fat cats surviving longer. The boomers. Same thing with politics and other jobs. Where it's like this old dude's been around for too long.
Yeah, that's
Go.
true. They do. The boomers just keep hanging around and getting in the way. Yeah, I agree. But two other movies that James Gunn is involved with that I really like are Slither and the movie Super with Rainn Wilson,
Right. Yep.
which both have definite 80s feel to them. probably two of the best movies made after 1989. They're just awesome. So it's pretty obvious that he was going to be good at this.
Yeah, and with regard to music, I mean, he already established himself, I guess, in, say, Guardians of the Galaxy as this guy who's able to curate, like, great songs for a film that, we have an episode, maybe it's on right now, we talked to Queen V about songs that make scenes in films. It's like every one, and I don't know to what extent he's involved in picking them. I think he's involved like 100% in picking these songs that create these scenes.
Yeah, he absolutely has
music.
100% control of every song that was in Guardians and this.
Yep.
Because he said he put this set list, the song list together before the show was even done.
Yep.
Wow.
He had a list of bands, and the only one he hasn't, and he updates the Spotify list as the shows come out. And the only band, because he does use a lot of newer bands, so I'm waiting patiently to see if Crazy Licks makes the list, because I think they're probably the best of the new hair metal bands. So,
Okay.
because I noticed something else he said recently about making movies and TV shows. He said most people screw up because your budget, you should spend 50% on the first and second act, and the other 50% is for the third act, so that it's big and feels big.
Finish. Yep.
So I'm hoping he's saving Crazy Licks for that third act, because
I thought you were going to say 50% for licensing fees to get, music.
yeah, well, he probably, because of the bands he picked, he probably didn't spend a lot.
Yeah.
To be honest with
Obscure
you,
bands, yeah.
because he's really doing these bands a huge favor, like Wigwam. Like, this song is huge right now.
Yeah.
Everybody's talking about this song, and most people didn't even know it existed before this show started.
Yeah.
Same with, like, there's a couple of them on here that are really good. The Lady Lightning song, I like that one a lot. I can't remember which band does it right off the top of my head, but
Yeah. And there were bands mentioned that I don't know that I could honestly name a song, except for then they played one in the show, and I was like, oh, I never, like the Choir Boys. I didn't know I liked the Choir Boys till he plays a song by the Choir Boys, and it's like, oh, I gotta check out the Choir Boys.
he has amazing taste in music, and a lot of these bands are the newer hair metal bands out of like Norway and Finland and all those countries over there, Sweden.
Those Scandinavians. Yep.
Yeah, most of them are from there. But then he also will get a Summertime Girls in there, which is funny because the actress who plays Harcourt is his girlfriend.
James Gunn's girlfriend?
That is James Gunn's
I
girlfriend.
thought he was married.
Really?
Nope.
Huh.
Jennifer Holland is his girlfriend, and she's 20 years younger than him.
Wow.
He is killing it old school Hollywood. You can't cancel this guy. You can't stop him from doing anything. When you can write like this, you are the king of Hollywood. No one can stop you.
Disney uncanceled them. I mean,
They had to.
Right.
They had no choice.
the Lady Lightning song is actually called Push Push, and it's from Bang Camaro.
Yeah,
Camaro.
yeah.
Bang Camaro.
Bank Camaro. That's right. Push push Lady Lightning. Yeah. That's the little that little two swirly things you put after like things like knock.
Do you mean
Like
parentheses?
knocking on heaven. Yeah, those things.
Yep.
Yeah. I found them on a keyboard,
things.
and you use them for song titles when you want to put extra words.
That's the only thing. You put the word, what you put in there is this way that people actually know the song, not the
Right.
dumb name you made it.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Right. That's how it turns out. Yeah. But there's also some other cool stuff that happens on the show, because I was watching it, because I like the show, and I've watched like every episode like 5 times now. So,
Seriously?
oh yeah, yeah, I love this show,
He's looking for albums.
dude. I
That's
wish,
true.
I wish this was a regular TV show that had 20 episodes a season. These 8, that's not enough.
Yeah, it's just too
It's not.
expensive. Yep.
So you just gotta watch them over.
So you just watch them over and over again, and you're like, what are you gonna do? I can either just watch the intro, or I can just watch the whole show again. So I do both.
Well, this
So
way
I-
you're really getting into the minutia of it.
Oh, I am. But 8 minutes into the first episode, we get the Octopussy reference, which is obviously from the 80s James Bond. So I thought that was like, oh, we're just off and running with 80s references? That's pretty cool. To hell with this. All right, let's go. And then in Peacemaker's trailer, there's a Dukes of Hazzard poster on the back wall.
Really?
Yeah. I don't make these things up. Like I said, most of these you don't even have to hit the pause button to find.
Ugh, I better look a little more closely.
Vaguely remember that. I do remember there was some stuff around. Yeah.
Yeah. And another really cool song from this one's early 90s is called Love Bomb Baby by Tiger Tails. Plays at the very end of right after he explodes her.
Yes.
They play
Okay.
Love Bomb
Okay.
Baby by Tiger Tails. Most people have never. This is another song that should be way bigger than it is. It's a great song.
Yeah.
It's amazing. But nobody, you tell somebody about it and they're like, I don't know what the hell that is. Now they do. Because James Gunn likes it. So now they know what it is.
Now they know.
Now they know.
And he does do that thing, like you're saying, which is funny. You don't even have to pay attention or know. It's almost like a joke for himself. But that he would pick a song that's called Love Bomb Baby when he just blew up someone that he
Yes.
made love to or with.
That's why I noticed it. Yep.
But
Yeah,
and
like-
also, even
yeah,
the
yeah,
Do You
but
Want to
it-
Taste It song, too, the lyrics seem to underscore the story of Peacemaker.
It does. And if you look at like when he's in the bar and he looks at that hot 80s chick that he wants to bang,
Yeah.
the song is called A Night of Passion by the Poodles.
Right.
Okay.
So he does a great job with like tying the songs right to what's going on at the time.
Yep. And then I Don't Love You Anymore from the Choir Boys when it's over and now she's going to try to kill him.
Yeah. She tries to kill him, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Okay.
Like it just goes on and on and on through the episodes. He does a really good job with it. What else we got here? The CD that Vigilante holds up and he says, "Where do you want me to put this?" When he's cleaning his house for him in episode 2. That's Alice Cooper, Trash from 1989. That wasn't easy to figure out either because he's like waving it all over the damn place.
Yeah. Phrase like this. Watching.
And this is
Hold
where
still.
and this is the episode where we get the Dust Bowl Jokey song, "Boots On, Rocks Off."
Right.
So, and here's another cool thing. The end of this one, during the credits, they mentioned Pumped Up Kicks in this episode
Right.
about how it's about murder.
Right.
The version they play during the credits actually has Michael Starr from Steel Panther on vocals.
Oh.
It's a cover of it.
Okay.
So I like Steel Panther, so I was like, but he's listed under his real name, which is Ralph. So it's kind of trying to throw you
That's
off the
where I
trail.
recognize that name.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's Michael Starr.
All right. Very good.
He was being sneaky.
Yeah. And once upon a time, we almost had those guys on the show. I have to reach out to them again.
Oh.
Yeah, that would be cool. Let's see here. Episode 3, we get a Children of the Corn reference when he's talking about the kid and how ugly he is and how he's creeping him out.
Right.
There's a
I look
Cobra
forward
Kai.
to that.
There's a Cobra Kai reference
There is?
when he was talking about Judo Master,
Master, yeah.
when he first sees them, which actually is said twice.
Yeah, isn't it? It's his code name, I think, like they're called.
They start
right?
referring to him as Cobra Kai,
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
which is funny. Let's see here. Once again, there's a G.I. Joe reference when he's talking about Judo Master. He's like, I want to take you home and play with you with my G.I. Joes because he's so little.
Oh. Okay.
So there's some good jokes there, too. Oh, and I forgot to mention, there's a scene where John Cena starts naming off people they could have blamed instead of his father.
Yes.
He names 80 people.
Does that include the after credits thing? Did you see that?
Yes. There's 80 people named in that. That whole scene was improvised by him.
Okay, I was wondering.
They
All right.
said, just start naming off people and go with it.
It's
that
a
whole
great
thing is
stream of
all him.
consciousness.
All
Wow.
him. Which I thought was hilarious because I went back and watched it and I'm like, man, some of these are really funny. He's like,
Yeah.
Michael Jordan, Michael B. Jordan. I was like, God
You
damn.
can tell in his brain how they'd be connected.
Yeah, and he's just going through all these things, and it's so funny. And then when you find out it's improvised, it's even funnier.
And and the other actors are just sort of, the economist is
Economist
is
is-
Steve Agee's like going along with it, like,
Yeah.
am I Michael B. Jordan? Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
he was agreeing with some of them.
Well, then he goes like, but he's dead.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Like some of them are dead that he's naming. And
Yeah.
he's like, just keeps going. Yeah. So I love this show. I cannot wait till they release the rest of these episodes because, like, I don't even know how he took something so strange. Like most people say, of all the DC characters, this is the one that got his own show.
Mm-hmm.
A
So I guess
character,
it's pretty obscure.
a character that nobody knows who he is.
Okay. All right.
Comic
the
book
whole-
guys barely know who he is.
That's the whole thing with Guardians of the Galaxy too. Those were
Right.
like, that's like B or C, sort of level
Right.
comic book characters that they and part of it was Marvel. Now James Gunn didn't come up with the concept originally for the Guardians movie. They actually have like a story sort of like a writer's room at Marvel where they say, all right, we got these, you do this one, you do this one. I can't remember her name, but a woman wrote the script for it. And then James Gunn, sort of made it his James Gunn sort of way. But yeah, but for James Gunn, taking that and sort of elevating it in his James Gunn style, taking it something else obscure. And Suicide Squad too. That first movie was terrible, and those
Yeah.
characters aren't well
Yeah.
known or
No.
beloved characters. His
Right.
version's fantastic.
We
Yeah, and
just
I was-
watched that in preparation for watching the first.
Oh, you watched it
episode
first?
of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah,
Once
yeah.
again, that was when I was like, oh my God, they've already rebooted this?
Yeah,
And then I watched and I was like, now I know why they rebooted it.
yeah.
I was confused. Yeah, we were very
Which,
confused by it.
the guy who plays Economist, or
Yeah.
whatever the hell his name is, he's the shark guy from Suicide Squad.
Yeah, he's the
Same
motion
guy.
capture double. He's the
Yeah.
motion capture.
He's the
double.
motion capture guy for the shark.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw him tell a story too where he's making. I don't know. He was poking fun of somebody. He said like.
Oh my god.
He's talking to some film he was in. He's like, oh, imagine having to wear one of those motion capture suits. God, never. And then he's like, and then I'm wearing a giant shark thing. With
There's also a
balls
thing
on it.
where the dye beard joke is actually because for Suicide Squad, he had dyed his beard.
Oh,
Okay.
So when he went on this show, they asked him to do it again, and he was like, "Fuck, I don't want to do that." So they just made it a running joke through the show where he
Yes.
keeps going, "My beard's not dyed," but it actually is because he doesn't have that color hair really.
well, okay. Well, yeah.
Right, Peacemaker was making fun of him.
Yeah, he keeps
It's
calling him
a
dye
gray
beard.
part. It's like gray
Yeah.
here, and then the rest is like that brownish red
Yeah,
color.
they
Yeah.
put the brown in
Didn't-
during the filming of Suicide Squad,
Oh.
Oh my gosh.
and they asked him to put it back in for the show so he would match the on-screen character. And he didn't want to, but he's like, fine, I'll do it. So they just turned into a running joke on the show, which I thought is another clever, fun thing that they did with this. And you can tell everybody involved, it looks like they're having so much fun doing this show.
Yeah, I follow them on some of them on Twitter, and they share behind the scenes photos and stuff. And yeah, that's the message they keep conveying is how much of a blast it is to do these scenes.
Oh, that's so cool.
I'm just looking at my notes here. And I have this one thing called, I just wrote down, Vigilante calls them goony-looking motherfuckers.
Oh yeah, right.
I'm like, that doesn't even make sense because it'd be a sloth-looking, not a
That's what he
goonie.
was meaning though. But
That's
yeah.
what he meant, but that's one of those lines where you hear it and you're just laughing because I know what he meant.
Yeah.
And it's a great 80s reference. And then it took me a long time to figure this out, too. What the hell's this character's name? Mern. He's watching a movie when he's sitting on the couch.
Right.
When he's just sitting there, he has no emotions going on in episode 4.
This is a big spoiler. Don't.
That's
maybe-
okay. Oh wait, here.
No, all I'm saying is, no, the
What
movie
he's
he's watching
Yes.
Oh.
is Lethal Weapon 4.
Oh,
Oh yeah,
cool.
right. Yeah, I was
thank you.
wondering. I was thinking. Well, they own Lethal Weapon 4. It's Warner Brothers,
Right.
so that's probably one of the reasons they used it. But I thought there was another connection when I saw that. I thought, this is kind of
Well,
a parallel to something.
I haven't
can't remember
figured
if
out
it-
why they picked that movie yet,
Yeah.
but there has to be a connection to something else.
Yeah. It was- At the
Okay,
time, I
that's
thought
what
it
you got to
was-
figure out now.
Yeah.
After you're done with the album covers.
All right, we're 40
Yeah.
minutes in, right?
Yeah, well, I think we did good. So,
Yep.
love Peacemaker. Can't wait to do the next 4 episodes when we get to them.
Yeah.
And as always, go to our YouTube page.
Wait, you're there now.
Well, this is for the audio portion of this.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Go be a Patreon. Go buy our merch. Go to our Facebook page. Go to all our pages. Go to all our stuff. Help us out. Follow us. Come have fun with us on our Facebook page. You know, Will and Kat are always in there, and I pop in sometimes.
Yo, it's a special event when Ray's there.
Yeah. I'm too busy making Patreon stuff for people who pay us.
And if you're watching this, if you're watching this on YouTube, listen to our audio podcast, 1980s. Now it's available on every podcast platform. All right. Bye.
Yeah, I think that wraps it up for this one.
All right.
Okay.
So we'll talk to you next time on the 1980s Now.
See ya.
So long.